and to join us now for the first over after tea with the English touring side in a real spot of bother. A very soft wicket here, and the English do seem to be up to their necks in it. The Indians using the heavy roller with the Bruce Forsyth wig. An argument, if ever there was one, for the wearing of protective helmets.
Hello and welcome to what is the 6th and sadly the last in our present series.
Yes! Yes, hooray! It's the end of term! We can all get our games out and go out and on the grass and, you know, no more work, no more prep, school's out.
Yeah, shut up, Smith, will you? This week we're looking at the Victorian age.
Oh, no, sir, not the Victorian age.
Smith, look, honestly, I'll go and make you stand in the corner if we can find one big enough. The Victorian age... Today, we focus on a time when Britain was at its greatest.
A time when Britain's overseas possessions amounted to more than 400 timeshare villas in the Algarve.
A time when Britain built what is known today as the Empire.
Yes, the Empire, Kilburn's premier picture house.
And what sort of men built the Empire? Men like this.
Flanagan and Sons of Finsbury Park, specialist contractors, suppliers of poorhouses to the filthy rich.
And while men like that were hammering away in Kilburn, men like this were hammering away in the Punjab.
The trouble is you don't want a man for a husband. You want a coward who'll run out on his friend when they're in danger. Well, that's not me and never was and never will be. I don't care how much I love you. And I do very much. I'm a soldier. I'm a man first. All right, Mr. Cheesecake. Get that silly smirk off your face. All right, come on. Now, let's go.
Pushing back the frontiers of the Empire was a job that required diplomacy, tact, and, of course, a funny little moustache.
Now, the most important qualification was to take it like a man. Yes, Lieutenant Carruthers here, an ability to take it like a cocktail sausage.
Of course, in order to govern these far-flung regions, it was necessary to master new languages.
No one else?
I'm afraid not, sir.
Afraid not? What do you mean, you young dog? Upon my soul, you've got pretty average cheek, even for a snotty.
So, these were the men. Now let's look at the empire they built. How big was it?
Well, as we can see, the Empire was about the same size as a beach ball.
Yeah, except, no, that's actually, that is a scale model, in fact.
Well, obviously, of course, this is a scale model. I mean, most beach balls are much bigger than this, obviously.
Yes, probably. It's incredible to think that this huge...
This enormous empire...
was, in fact, ruled over by an absolutely... was, in fact, ruled over by an absolutely tiny little island.
Tiny, so
which is
tiny.
So... It's a minute little island.
What the bloody hell is it?
It's up here.
There we are.
It's England, and that is there.
Absolutely, just there.
And the big question this raises is, what is Mel Smith doing on this programme? No, in fact, the big question this raises is, who was going to run the empire? Where could they find the sort of imbecile prepared to make a career out of running a sub-post office in Chittagong? And the answer is here, the British public school. An institution where the nation's young men were taught the values of discipline, self-restraint, and how to eat cream of mushroom soup with their fingers.
Yes, the sort of school that Griff went to. Hardly went to. Sorry.
So let's have a look at exactly what you got for your 4,500 smackers a term. There was qualified instruction in bullying, scragging and scugging to A-level standard. The arts were also a priority. Pupils could enjoy preparation for life on the alternative cabaret circuit. Teaching was grounded in the traditional. particularly the 3 R's. Plenty of rollicking, plenty of rioting, and plenty of rogering. Sport was also encouraged, the most popular being waving goodbye after having your hands chopped off.
Yes, indeed. The most famous aspect of the public school was its discipline. This group of 5th formers, for example, have been in detention for close on 15 years.
Carl! Brown! Brown! He's gone mad.
Oh, devil. It's the madness of the desert. The heat. The awful heat. Oh, why doesn't this madness come to me?
Well, my estimate is that it already has. But the principal question is, what was missing from the public school?
Poor people.
No, I was thinking of the fairer sex.
Oh, yes, indeed. The playing fields of Eton and Harrow were completely crumpetless, leading inevitably to this sort of thing. Yes, I'm afraid everything they say about public school is true, and even some of the things they don't say are true. There they are, piling in, anybody'll do. My God, it's disgusting.
Mel, I'm really sorry, but this is, in fact, this is rugger.
Yes, well, it's a matter of opinion, Griff.
It's what we call a loose rug.
My sentiments entirely.
The end product was something like this.
What do you mean, the one in the dress?
No, I mean the one who looks like Freddie Mercury.
Marjorie, could you give your life to the frontier with me thrown in?
No, my darling. But I could give my life to you with a frontier thrown in.
Gosh, that's torment.
Yes, with any luck, he'll end up buried in sand being trodden on by an elephant.
And so we all hope, will this bloke.
No, Hermione, no power on earth can put me right in the eyes of the world now.
But, Dickie...
No, dear, it's the end for us.
You mean you've done something really rotten?
Something really rotten. What's he done? Nicked one of Snotty's conkers? Broken wind in the mess room?
No, in fact, he's chopped up his entire family with a chainsaw. Rather trying, really, but nothing that a public school man would make a fuss about.
Reserve was everything. Here, in the rainforests of the Congo, a man receives news that his wife has just been gangbanged by a herd of wildebeest.
Later that day, here is the same man being told his buttocks have creeping gangrene.
No. Would you just repeat that, sir?
Here we come to the major problem. You know, the public schools produced young snotties by the regiment, eager for adventure and full of spunk. But what was available for them in Victorian England?
Bugger all.
Yes, as Mel said, very little. Life was extremely dreary.
God, was it dull. Dull, dull, dull.
It was more boring than having lunch with Andrew Lloyd Webber.
In the evening, the family would get together to sit about a bit, waiting for television to be invented.
For a walloping good night out, a man could go round to his family home to watch his mother die.
People had to make their own entertainment. Here, a man is pretending to use his wife as a vacuum cleaner.
But what about intimate relations, Mel?
I beg your pardon.
I mean, what about sex in Victorian England?
Oh, sorry.
Sex, yeah.
Oh, sex. Oh,
Yeah.
we got on to that at last.
Yes,
have we?
we have,
Right.
yeah.
Well, fans of the programme will be pleased to learn that once again I have been diligently poking about in the archives. And what have I come up with? Well, I am now going to show some of the most extreme sexual practices of the Victorian era.
And we should warn you immediately that some people may find this offensive.
But there again, we find some people offensive, so hard cheese. On with the smut.
Stop,
Yes,
stop.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yes, I'm afraid we have to stop the action there because the lady was about to remove her glove.
There was absolutely no sex in Victorian England.
None whatsoever.
Zero.
A big fat zilch.
Who's this then?
That's big fat zilch. You know, Rosemary Zilch.
Well, it's not sex then.
There's an early Odor Eaters advert, I think.
Oh, I see. what exactly is... This isn't
No,
sex.
this is the opening of the Great Exhibition.
Oh, I see.
This is,
There's nothing to do at all with sex.
No,
Right, no. And what is this then?
This is a couple of women on an archaeological dig in Abyssinia.
I see. This is certainly not sex.
Certainly not
discovered by poking around in...
There was no sex in Victorian society.
I see. And it's hardly surprising that life was so dull when you consider that this lady was in charge.
Yes, Alfred Hitchcock's sister.
Britain's headmistress, Queen Victoria. Here she is, 1837, 1897, 01 if you live outside London. But of course there was another lady whose presence towered above the century like... well, like a big tower, in fact.
Yes, Florence Nightingale. The lady with the lump.
Lamp.
Sorry. The lamp with the lump. And here she is, Dame Florence Lamp. The lump with the limp. Administering to the wounded with her famous cry, "Who left this bloody squeeze box lying around in the operating theatre?"
And so it was that these two women, Victoria, the puppet of all England, and Florence, known to soldiers everywhere as...
Nurse!
ruled the land with a rod of iron. What could any red-blooded young man do in this claustrophobic atmosphere? How could they fulfill themselves in the face of this female oppression?
Well, they pissed off a bit sharpish.
Yes, as Mel said, they left quickly for foreign parts, leaving behind only the women and the naughty boys in detention.
John, you can't die. You mustn't die. Think of Isabel. Isabel. I found him and he's dying. He's dying, and I can't bring him back. Isabel.
I found him and he's dying.
Isabel.
Dear, oh dear.
For heaven's sake, Isabel, hurry up and answer him. So, in part one, we have seen how the public schoolboys founded the empire.
And in part two, we'll tell you where they found it.
About to insure your car? For a free quotation and a free blind spot eliminator mirror, call 0800 414 313.
It isn't unusual for a car to pick up an award, or two. But we've built a car that's won a whole succession of them. That car is called the Cavalier. But we're not resting on our laurels. Test drive the new 1987 Cavalier now, and you'll find new fuel-injected engines, including a powerful 2-liter. You'll find 5-speed gearboxes and upgraded interiors. But alongside all we've put on, we've taken something off. The new 1987 Vauxhall Cavaliers. Drive the difference.
Best bet for a fuller flavour. Carling Black Label.
Sale of the year. There are still bargains by the thousand. Sofa beds, tables and chairs, cabin beds, stools, bookcases, and thousands more to fill every room in the house.
MFI's biggest sale of the year.
Go for it. The sales are now.
An early arrival in Africa celebrates his liberation from the strictures of Victorian England. He was now free to be as balmy as he liked.
David Livingstone, of course, who went on to found the Church of the Latter-day Lunatics, which is still led today by his great-grandson, Ken.
Once they were out in the Empire, the young men could indulge in some of the great freedoms.
Such as drinking.
Staying up late.
Staying up late and drinking. Tying one on, really getting pissed out of their minds.
And, of course, chasing a pig while waving your sabre in the air. This is the origins of fast food.
It's all good, clean fun.
Unless, of course, you're the pig.
But as we would expect, organised sports were the first thing that the lads established. Here we see the Highland formation boxing.
I'm going to float like a butterfly and look like a prat.
And if there was nothing to do in the Gobi Desert of a Sunday afternoon, they improvised some dry land water skiing. As soon as the news broke in Britain, all red-blooded, mustachioed males wanted to get overseas for a slice of the action.
The men set off, to the obvious delight of those staying behind. Some on foot.
Some by boat.
Some by sheer optimism.
Some by sheer stupidity.
And some by down air economy class. With the outside toilet.
The native people were not uniformly delighted by the influx of eager young empire builders.
Here, immigration officers conduct an informal interview with a man who claims he's only come over for his cousin's wedding.
Why don't you look where you're kicking? English. How can you tell?
Easy, because the band played the British Grenadiers as soon as you spoke.
Thousands did get through, throwing the local traffic police on point duty into absolute confusion.
Escape was the only option.
The entire continent was plunged into panic, and the Bulawayo gyratory system collapsed completely under the strain.
Yes, even the wildlife joined in the exodus, and for those natives who got caught in this snarl-up, the only option was to get into the water and pretend to be a hippo.
But one question remains. In the far pavilions on the road to Mandalay, up the Orinoco without a paddle, were the British pioneers finally getting their imperial legs over?
Are you, man? No orders was issued, sir. Well, have you got any choice, Ray? Yes, I'll have you. Both, isn't it? Yes, sir. Very good, sir. Did you volunteer for this job? No, sir. Detail, sir. Oh, don't you want to do it? We all have to play our part, sir. Come along, let's get unpacked.
Such depravity could not be swept under the coconut matting for long. Back home, when the women of England heard about it, they mobilised for action. An advanced guard from Women Against the Raj set off for India to track down their menfolk and ram home their point.
The men, of course, greeted the arrival of their loved ones with customary British reserve.
In public, they tried other methods of driving them away.
Mrs. Carruthers, I propose your health, and that of all other women who come up with their men to faraway outposts and bring with them the grace and sweetness of the life they've left behind.
Yes, it was the very first embarrassogram.
Embarrassogram.
Suddenly occurred to me. There it was. And there it was. The very first embarrassogram. Even the Indians joined in the attempt to drive back the fishing fleet.
In our country, we have many orchards with beautiful and delicate blossoms. But the most lovely of all is now in the British residency.
What a charming speech.
And no, you can't.
Excuse me, just before we go any further, I wonder could we just... have you noticed something strange about that Indian at all?
Oh, hold on. Come on, look, Griff, sorry, that is nothing like me.
No, honestly, this isn't the male lookalike section.
Oh, I'm
here.
sorry.
You see, there we are. He's tall, He's well-spoken, those finely chiselled Anglo-Saxon features lurking beneath a hastily applied layer of Bovril.
So what did happen to the Mel lookalike section, Griff, this week?
Well, I'm afraid there isn't time for it.
There isn't time?
No.
It's not that you actually couldn't find any?
No, obviously there were hundreds of Mels.
It's not perhaps that I don't actually have any ancestors who were brutal, sadistic, spoilt, upper-class twits?
There just isn't time, you know, it's not a big thing. It's just...
Because actually, I have got a look-alike which might ring a few bells.
What is this?
That face seem familiar at all?
Mel, I'm for God's
Now,
sake.
look at that, eh? That is the spitting image of Griff Rhys-Jones.
Mel,
it's Griff to a T, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really sorry, but that is me. It's on my plantation in Suffolk. So, what of the Empire? Despite every ruse, the women had obviously come to stay, and the public schoolman was forced to accept defeat with his characteristic dignity, fortitude, and phlegm. Yes, well, I've got a pretty good idea why they're laughing at you, mate, and I think it's got something to do with your trousers.
Yes, it was the end of the Empire as they knew it. It was split into 3 smaller cinemas, Scala 1, Scala 2 and Australia.
And the heartbroken natives joined together to mourn the passing of their beloved bosses.
Yes, that was an early Lionel Richie video then. Everyone trooped back to Blighty, where, of course, it was detention as usual.
Stout fellow. What did you say? Say that again, will you? I don't listen. Stout fellow.
Funny old time to order a Mackerson, but there we go.
And there we must leave the Empire, the biggest adventure playground the world has ever seen.
And sadly, there we must also leave the series, a series in which we have tried to challenge the popular conceptions of history.
A series in which we have uncovered facts that have literally rocked the academic world.
Old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind. Should old acquaintance be forgot and days for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne will so here's a hand that might trust me friend for the days of old lang syne.